In episode 7, Daniel's back in the game. He's motivated, but he's got to work quickly. Terry Silver is expanding Cobra Kai's at a rapid rate. If they don't act quick, every kid in the valley is going to be wearing Cobra Kai gear. They know that they need to figure out what he's up to because it's pretty clear that the valley isn't going to satisfy him. The problem is they have no idea. And they've pretty much exhausted all of Terry Silver's friends. And Amanda brings up the elephant in the room, John Kreese. If anybody would know what Terry Silver was up to, it might be John Kreese. At first, Johnny and Daniel don't want to admit it, but she's right. They're going to have to go visit John and see what he knows. So they head off while Chosen handles the lesson that day. And all the Miyagi-Do kids are back. That includes Robbie. Hawk can't stand him. Dimitri's shocked to see him. And Miguel has to tell them both, all right, chill out. He's on our side now. Miguel is more concerned about Sam. He still has a huge thing for her. And even though they're supposed to still be friends, you can tell he wants to be more than just friends. But joining Sam at that lesson is going to be her brother Anthony. This is really the first karate lesson that he's had since he paid somebody to wax the cars. But the lesson starts out a little unconventional. Chosen hands each kid an egg and says, protect the egg. And they all split up. They have a little downtime before Chosen comes and tries to find them, and Miguel looks over and sees Robbie joking with Sam. Hawk tries to make a thing of it, saying that he's trying to move in on Sam, but Miguel once again tells him, nah, me and Robbie are cool now. They're probably just catching up. But then they hear the whistle from Chosen. He's coming. And one by one, he starts picking the group off, destroying eggs like it's nothing. Every time a kid gets their egg destroyed, they have to go back to the deck and stand there. When Hawk gets his egg destroyed, he walks up to the deck and Robbie says, how did he find you? And Hawk just looks at him and says, shut up and don't talk to me. Robbie apologizes for what happened to Eli's mohawk, but he tells him, if anybody knows what Cobra Kai can do to a person and turn him into an asshole, it's you. Eli asks him, wait, so I'm the asshole? And Robbie goes down the list of reasons why Eli, in the past, has indeed been an asshole. Finally, Dimitri gets between them and says, all right, guys, enough. We're on the same side now, and we have bigger fish to fry. You're both ex-assholes. There's a madman out there using weapons on us. And it's true. Chosen's still out there, hunting down the last couple of eggs, and finally he finds them. He then hands the kids new eggs. They're going to need a new plan. And that's when Anthony comes up with the idea of sticking together, not splitting up when he tells them to go. So they do that. They put all of their eggs in one basket, which usually is frowned upon, and they surround the basket. Chosen tries to bust his way in, but with that many kids, he's unable to. And finally, he concedes defeat, and the group celebrates their victory, thanks to Anthony. But that was not the only lesson going on about teamwork that day in the valley. Over at Cobra Kai, the kids all arrive at the flagship dojo, and they start practicing. And they're going really hard. Devin's noticed lately that they're pushing them really hard, and she mentions it to Tori, but Tori reminds her that she shouldn't be at Cobra Kai. The place is dangerous. And Devin once again feels like Tori just doesn't want competition, but it's not that. A couple of spots away, Kenny is going hard. But Kyler doesn't like that. He thinks Kenny's making them all look bad, and he tells Kenny he's got to slow down while also reminding him that he's number one now. If Kenny plays his cards right, maybe he can be number 2. Kim and Silver are watching them practice on their surveillance camera footage. They realize they need to find a leader in the group. So that day's lesson, they have them both split up and go after one of the senseis. It's 2 versus 1. Kenny and Kyler get up, and they're going to go after... They're up against a sensei who, in reality, is former UFC champion Tyron Woodley. I don't think the kids know that, but it's a really tough test, and it's one they fail. Kyler keeps sending Kenny in there to get his ass kicked, not really doing much. It's such an embarrassing effort that Silver pulls them off the mats. Now it's the girls' turn. Tori and Devin are going to go after Kim. And while Tori wants to work as a team, Devin doesn't. They also end up failing pretty miserably. Kyler and Kenny get up and try again, and once again, Kyler's just sending Kenny in there to get beat up. And finally, Kenny gets tired of it, and he walks out. Silver, though, follows him. He tells him that he's pretty much been a follower most of his life, but now it's time to be a leader. Because he feels like Kenny has more potential than anyone who's ever come through the dojo. But that is if he's ready to be a leader. So Kenny goes out there and leads. When he tells Kyler, though, he's taking the reins, Kyler doesn't take it well. So Kenny fakes a fight with him. In reality, Kenny could have kicked Kyler's ass because Kyler's not very good at karate. But it's real enough to everybody but Kenny. And when Tyron tries to step in, Kenny throws Kyler in his way, using it as a distraction and kicking Tyron in the face. He's the only person to successfully get a point that day. Kim then asks the girls who wants to go next, and Tori is very surprised that Devin wants to go. Tori tells her, if we do this, you got to listen to me, and Devin says, that's all I've been trying to do since I got here. So they get up, and they do work as a team. It's going better than the first time, but they're still getting beat up quite a bit. At one point, though, there is an opening for Tori to win, but she would have to sacrifice Devin to do so, and she doesn't do that. It results in them losing, and Kim criticizing Tori for not taking that opening. But as Tori tells Devin later, I wouldn't have been a very good leader if I had done that. So the lessons that day are about teamwork, and that's what Daniel and Johnny did. They worked as a team, going to the prison and visiting with John Kreese, who did not want to visit with them. They thought maybe prison would have humbled Kreese a bit, but they quickly find out that's not the case when prisoners are walking up to him asking him if he wants anything from the vending machine. He sits down and tells them, I know exactly what Terry Silver's planning, but if you think I'm going to help you, then you're fooling yourself. Daniel looks at him and says, if you know what Terry's planning, then why don't you just tell us so we can stop it? But Kreese says, as if you could. You've already failed. And that was after I gave you the lead. And that's when Daniel realizes it was Kreese who sent the newspaper clipping. Daniel then says, what if I can help get you out of here? I have a really good lawyer. And Kreese says, well, if that is true, then I'd be willing to tell you what I know. So Daniel walks off, makes a phone call, comes back and says, all right, my lawyer's willing to talk. But I'm not giving you his number until I get the full story on what Terry's up to. So Kreese agrees. He tells him that way back in the day, Terry, who had become a very successful businessman at this point, paid for him and Kreese to go back east to learn the way of the fist from where it was created. He wanted to learn from Kim Sun-young. But during that trip, Terry pitched John on something. John had just opened up Cobra Kai. But Silver tells him you can do better than the All Valley. He pulls out a flyer for something called the Sekai Taikai. It's the top karate tournament in the world, but barely anybody in the States has heard of it. With the resources that Terry had back then, he wanted to make it the Super Bowl of karate, but Kreese wasn't interested. He just wanted to focus on Cobra Kai. Silver reminds him that if they win this huge tournament, the Cobra Kai way will be the way. But at that time, John just felt like they weren't ready. So that is what Silver's up to. He doesn't care about the All Valley anymore. He's going global. Kreese then asks Daniel for the lawyer's number, but instead of a phone number on the piece of paper, it just says no mercy. Daniel never once considered helping out John Kreese. Kreese got played, and he's not going anywhere. Thank you so much for checking out this recap. Please consider subscribing to the channel and subscribing to my Patreon. Hit thumbs up if you liked it. Smash that thumbs down button if you thought it sucked. If you left a comment, I don't get back to you. I usually don't check the comments unless they're like a super comment. Also, if you don't see the next video up on the end screen, not to worry, it'll be up in a day or two.